Hello! Yes, it's me. I'm back. I will explain my hiatus in just a second if you're wondering why there's such a shadow and why there's this weird speck on my glasses. That is because I had to move my lamp a little closer than I wanted to so that way you could see me, because when I had it on the other side of the room where I normally keep it, you couldn't see me at all. As to my hiatus, so on July 28th. No, it would have been, I was in the hospital June 28th, so like the week before that. The second to last week of June, the last week of June up until about July 1st, I was in the emergency room. I came down with what's called cytomegalovirus. It's from my donor kidney. It's a virus they're keeping an eye on, and I felt like I was going to suffocate. I was unable to walk around without almost passing out. My oxygen levels were at like 75%, which is significantly low. So I spent some time in the hospital, about 2-ish weeks. And then I recovered at my mom's house for about a week. And then I spent pretty much my entire July lying on a couch in 100-degree weather, trying to see if I would not suffocate. Into August, I started to recover. Almost kicked my water over. Most of the way around the second to third week of August is when I was finally probably pretty close to 100%. I'm still on an extremely powerful antibiotic to keep killing the virus. I'll be on that until December. It's called, can't even think of what it's called now. It's got some strange, I apologize. It's got some strange name that I can't pronounce. But that's why I've been gone. As to, you're going, it's November, that's 2 months unaccounted for. I've been watching tape, I've been watching college games, I've been watching Notre Dame, I've been keeping up on what's going on, and I've been trying to keep track of the NFL. I'm going to sneeze again, I apologize. Sorry. There's something in the air since it got cold that's caused me to be a little congested and sneezing. I'm not concerned. Alright, I have my rundown. And of course, in that, I have, to start things off, first of all, congratulations to Michigan State beating Michigan last weekend. Big round of applause. Kenneth Walker, you deserve the Heisman. I was before on the fence going, everyone always freaks out about every player getting the Heisman. Up until second, third week of November when it really starts to fall down the list till out the last 4 or 5 guys. Kenneth Walker is probably one of the most powerful and slippery backs I've watched in a long time. And I'm surprised that Wake Forest let him go. So, of course, first, big round of applause. And it's always a good day when Michigan wins. Or Michigan State wins and Michigan loses. Always a good day. Unless, of course, they're playing Notre Dame. Then I don't want that to happen. Sorry. Of course, the biggest news so far in college football has been the absolute dismantling of Clemson. They have fallen apart. Mainly because of one big thing. Their quarterback. I will get into that, but I wanted to make sure I brought that up at the beginning because, it's really important. And of course, since I did mention that I've been watching Notre Dame, I am aware of the struggles. I'm aware of what's going on. They're going to give me a heart attack. So, Clemson. First of all, never thought Dabo Swinney was that good of a coach. In fact, I don't like him. I don't like him not because he's beaten you. No, I don't like him because he is, pardon my French, but an asshole. when you're doing nothing but antagonizing other teams and attacking them and being just a dick, I don't like you. Sorry. He talks poorly about other teams. He talks poorly about other programs. He insults coaches. He has multiple issues with with people who have played for him that say that he's a racist. Allegedly. I'll make sure I clear that up. He is allegedly said racial slurs. I don't know. Don't know the guy. Don't want to know him. And, it's just one of those where you go, a bunch of your players got caught with steroids, and I didn't know about it. Really? 2 of your star defensive players, 3 of your star offensive players, and you didn't know they were using steroids? Sure you didn't. To be clear, I would say the same thing at Notre Dame if that happened. You go, you're the head coach. How do you not know about this? How does your strength coach not know about this? How does somebody not somewhere go, that's a little weird? I had mentioned the Heisman rankings and where people would be at the beginning of the year, and that now Kenneth Walker is, it's still kind of early in the season, but Kenneth Walker is right there. At the beginning of the year, there were 2 guys that were at the top of the Heisman rankings, and one of them was DJ Uiagalelei. I'm 95% certain I'm pronouncing his name right, which is, of course, Clemson's quarterback. Based on the limited tape we saw of him last year and him starting to play this year, I got to hear about how he's going to win the Heisman, he's the greatest quarterback ever, he's basically Tom Brady, all the nonsense, right? And I went back and started watching the limited tape that he had. And I noticed 3 big things. And I've been talking about it since the beginning of the year, and everybody's been telling me how dumb I am. 1, he struggles with quick game. What is quick game? He struggles with getting the snap off, taking 2 steps, and throwing the ball. Which is fundamentally something you should be able to do as a quarterback, 2 to 3 steps, and know, I have this route, this route, this route. This guy's going to be sliding to the left or sliding to the right, or he's going to do a double move and get open, and I should be able to find him and hit him. Quick routes are slants, sluggo, which is the outside, like you're going on a slant and then breaking upfield. The second he breaks upfield, if that corner slides to the middle and he breaks outside him, throw it. Because if you wait, the safety will go after him. Not that one-on-one with a safety is necessarily bad, but a lot of the times you can beat the safety with speed if you throw it the second he makes that move. The second he breaks back towards the sideline to go up the field, if the corner bites, throw it to the outside. Quick game is throwing to your running back. Same thing. It's snap of the ball, take a step, look, throw. He doesn't do that. He struggles with the option. Now, when you hear me say that, people want to go, he doesn't struggle with option. He runs the ball just fine. Yeah, he runs the ball just fine, but he never hands it off. When he goes in option, it's either, I'm not going to gain any yards, so I guess I'll hand it off. Or it's, I'm going to keep it, oh crap, I'm surrounded. That's not how the option works. It's reading. And 3 is exactly that. Reading the defense. He steps back in shotgun. He's got his running back to his right. Sorry, I almost said left. That's my right. My right, your left. And he's lined up, looking downfield. They zoom out on ESPN to show you the field. And I see press coverage on the outside, man coverage, and then you see two deep zone. Well, that tells me the middle of the field is going to be open. So I want to try and roll a tight end or a running back towards the middle of the field. It's going to be open underneath. What's he do? Takes a shot downfield, incomplete. Next play, same exact coverage, different play. Slides back, deep shot, deep, picked off. And you go, did you not see the 2 safeties? And so that's, now again, I haven't watched tape on him in the last week. I saw, I watched them play Florida State. I watched them play, what was the game they almost lost and pulled it out at the very end? Was that Pitt? Or did Pittsburgh beat them? I don't remember. I watched them play, I've seen them play 4 games so far. And every game, he's done the same exact thing, like clockwork. Step up to the line, snap the ball, slide back, and it's, oh crap, I don't know what's going on. And as a quarterback, you have to know what's going on. You cannot have an oh crap moment. Now, when you hear me say that, immediately you go, well, Russell Wilson has oh crap moments. Tom Brady has oh crap moments. Yeah, you can have an oh crap moment for about 4 seconds. 3 to 4 seconds. And it's, oh crap, this guy moved, that guy moved, this is going this way now. But you should know in your head, the routes are X, Y, Z, going this way, going across the middle of the field, whatever it is, and you should have something figured out. In the case of DJ, my response would be, I'm going to give you 2 routes. I got, let's say for the sake of argument, I got the, it's called the 9, the straight down the middle of the field. You are running straight. So I have 1 deep shot. And I'm going to give you, I'm going to butcher this kid's name. His name is, it's their tight end. Well, technically he's a receiver. He's basically a tight end. He's got the same build as a tight end. Nada, but it's not Nada, it's Ngata. I'm going to roll him over the middle of the field. Your entire job should be snap, take the step, look. First route's going down the middle. Going down the field. That's covered. Okay, look number 2, Ngata. He's covered. Now I want you to just ignore everything else and look where the linebackers are. Linebackers are back. Go. Take off. Because you have the build of a tight end. The chances of somebody tackling you one-on-one, pretty freaking slim. So I want you to just take off and gain 5 yards. If you can gain 10 to 15, great. But my purpose for you taking off, 5 yards. 4. If you can gain 4 to 5 yards, yay. I will nickel and dime you down the field. And when they leave somebody in, well, obviously that's when we don't do that. But for the beginning of the game, if they're going to drop people out, that's what I want you to do. Even if they do drop somebody down to cover you in the box. Well, you go ahead and take him on physically because you're a pretty big guy. Now, I don't want my quarterback to take a lot of shots, but there are certain moments when you say, well, I'm willing to accept you might be able to beat him with physicality. Otherwise, by all means, take 3 yards, go down. He doesn't do any of those things. So I laughed at those people, got told how stupid I was and how I don't know what I'm talking about, and do you even watch football? And who's right now? Hi. Sometimes I know what I'm talking about. The other quarterback that was high at the top of the ratings, which I have written in here, is Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler, I liked coming into the year because arm talent was there. Accuracy, not so much, but you could see that he was firing out of his hand, getting it downfield. And I at least could see value in that. He has good athletic ability. He's not super fast, but he's got athletic ability. He can escape. Why do I say not super fast? I mean, he's not Kyler Murray. But he's athletic. He can get out of the pocket and scramble for 10 yards. Fine. So, when I heard he was up in the Heisman, we'll call it the preliminary Heisman numbers, I wasn't stunned. I was like, yeah, kid's pretty good. He struggles with a couple of things, but overall, he's a pretty good quarterback. Him struggling as of late is weird and concerning. Why do I say that? Well, last year, he struggled with a few things. Totally understand. You're a freshman. You play in the beginning of the year, and you play your entire freshman year, and you're going to see struggles because you're a freshman. It's what happens. Sophomore year, they're talking about the draft. Now, I'm automatically going to tell you, if you're a sophomore going into the draft, you're an idiot. I think 2 years of college ball, not enough. Not enough tape, not enough time. You did not learn jack. being there for 2 years. Junior year, I frown upon it, but there are some dudes at that point that have now grown into their bodies. They are physical freaks, and you just go, okay. I prefer if you stay and get your degree, because NFL stands for not for long. And eventually, you're going to need that college degree. But there are certain people where you go, you know what? They're that good. Prime example of that is DK Metcalf. Dude's a physical freak. He's just big, physical, and he's fast. Okay, you are what the NFL is looking for. You can play at the NFL level. Okay. AJ Brown. Same thing. Physical, fast, got great hands. You're going to have a long NFL career. Because you're one of those outliers that you go, that he's going to have a long NFL career. Davonte Adams. Davonte Adams was a senior, I believe. But anyway, he's one of those guys, again, where you go, he's just an outlier. He's one of those guys that you look at him and go, that's what the NFL is looking for. Dependable, catches pretty much everything, and does a really good job of just taking what the defense gives him and going down. I mean, he does have a tendency to try and extend plays, but for the most part, he is, the NFL prototypical receiver. Running backs, I tend to be a little more on, because the NFL just seems to lately been the giant rotating door of running backs, which is, we had him here for 3 weeks and now we're sick of him. Get rid of him. And it's like, big problem. Anyhow, so last year Rattler played. Those who watch ESPN are going to say, he played amazing. He's Peyton Manning. No, he's not. He played fine. So this year I expected him to go from fine to pretty good. Pretty good, really good. Right in that area where you're going, not seeing a lot of flaws here. Instead, he went from being fine to yikes. Which is basically, if you're looking at a fuel gauge, sorry why I keep moving my hand like that, empty. Where you go, what's going on here? Now, in all fairness to Spencer Rattler, your number one receiver, gone. Your running backs, gone. Offensive line help, gone. Now I know people are going, well, when the freshman came in, he looks fine without all that. Yes, but he plays differently and is structured differently than Spencer Rattler. So, there's a little bit of that. Also, he hasn't played that well, to be perfectly honest. Caleb Williams, yeah, throwing-wise, he's done spectacular, where you go, wow. But when you watch some of the plays, you go, there are, this is the Alabama thing that I always like to compare. When you watch him individually, you go, there are throws where you go, that was bad, or that was put in the wrong place, and the receiver bails him out. Prime example of one of those plays where you go, what are you doing? Everybody likes to marvel at the handoff that received between him and the running back against Kansas. Greatest play ever, as ESPN would make you think. Yeah, that's a broken play. You shouldn't be trying to take the ball from him. You should let your running back go. You're not going anywhere. Go down. Why? Would have there been a safety or a linebacker coming downhill to hit you? And he hits you as that exchange is going on. Now you've fumbled the ball. Except that your running back is not going any further. And maybe you could try to give him... Now, if he was matched up now, and if you watch the play, he's stacked up, hit, and then driven to the side. And that's when he hands it to it. Well, he takes it from him. Is when he's turned sideways. Had he been point straight on contact as a quarterback, I would have suggested maybe giving him a little bit of a shove. But I digress. Anyway, so that's really concerning with Spencer Rattler, that he's gone, downhill in his percentage, his throwing. The throws have not looked good, and his interception numbers are odd compared to last season. So, my suggestion for someone like a Spencer Rattler would be, you take him from the position he's in now, where he's kind of lost, and there's obviously talks of him transferring. I'm sorry, I keep moving back and forth. My back's bugging me. So it's like, well, leaning forward bothers it, but sitting back bothers it, so I'll try and do this most of the time. Rattler could transfer. Yes. There's talks on ESPN and other things like, is he going to transfer? My suggestion to him as a young player would be, stay at Oklahoma till the end of the year. Because what if something happens to Williams? Now you're the starter again. Sometimes sitting on the bench actually helps you. There's been plenty of quarterbacks that have been benched, and that's what when they come out and they then blow everybody away, that's what they say. They go, I was in my own head, and the second I had to be sat out, I had to look at the playbook again. I had to relearn what my receivers want me to do. I had to relearn what some of these things, some of these basic things that he was, that we were used to, I had kind of blown off. Now I have to because I was the starter. So if I screw up, I'm the starter anyway. There are certain quarterbacks that have had that mentality. So maybe sitting on the bench will help him. I don't know. My suggestion for him would be to stay where you are till the end of the season and have a heart-to-heart with Lincoln Riley and say, am I going to be given my chance to play? And if the answer is, we got recruits coming in, we'd like to see them get some time, Caleb's fantastic, we really think we're going to move forward with him as our starter, then you simply shake Lincoln Riley's hand and go, it's been a pleasure being here. I'd like to enter the transfer portal. And if that's his decision, that's his decision. Now, he may stay at Oklahoma, and if he does, fine. But my number one suggestion to him would be find a quarterback coach. Find an independent guy that's going to help you. Because I think he's got the talent, and he's got the arm. And he's got what's going on up here, or at least he appears to. There are some quarterbacks who, in college, you go, wow, it seems to me he's got everything above the shoulders that you want, and then they get, somewhere else, and you go, I was wrong. But so far, it would appear that Spencer Rattler has the things to become a good quarterback. So I would say, find a quarterback coach in the offseason, or transfer somewhere where they have a decent offense, decent offensive coordinator, decent quarterback coach, and go there and learn. And if you do choose to stay at Oklahoma and you say, hey, I'm going to battle for my job, cool. In the offseason, find a quarterback coach or someone who's one of these quarterback gurus like, who's the guy who used to play for the Bengals? I almost said Carson Palmer, and that's not it. It's the other one. Jordan Palmer. Like, it's his brother. Sit with him for a little while. He may have been only a meh quarterback in college or in the pros, but he's really smart, and he knows how to break down film, and he knows what he's talking about. Go sit with him for 3 weeks. Learn under that guy. Go to I can't think of the other guy. I follow him on Instagram. He runs a QB academy, basically. Go talk to him. Go, hey, here's my tape. What am I doing wrong? Can't hurt. So those are my two breakdowns of those two quarterbacks, of which one is just piss poor, and the other one you're going is just, there's something going on here. Now, hearing me say that, a lot of people are going to say, well, you're just hating on the two programs. No. Quarterbacks that I think are doing well. Pitt. Again, there are problems in his tape that he needs to still work on. But pretty flawless. Pretty much you go, that's what I'm looking for in a quarterback. Be able to stand in the pocket, keep your eyes downfield, throw the ball. The last Pitt game I watched, I saw a lot of things I liked. Only a couple things that I would say need a little work. But they're fixable things. It's not like, and I hate to keep trashing on or throwing dirt on DJ Uyunglele. I'll call him DJ from now on. That name's hard to say. Not that I can't say it. It's just that, it sucks saying the whole name. DJ. Is that, okay, let's look at the flaws. All right, Pickett. He tends to get a little flustered every once in a while. Not to where it destroys his game, but you do see him getting kind of giving the look to the players going, what do you want? What else do you want me to do here? With him, it's okay. work on these 2-3 things: pocket presence, reading the defense, and we'll call it long distance accuracy. Not that he's not good at long passes. It's one where you go, you can never have too much work on just getting it downfield to a catchable spot. With DJ, it's you don't read the defense, so I got to teach you defenses. I can do that. If coaching position, coaches can say, I can do that. Okay, you don't understand passing. Like, there have been multiple throws where you just go, who are you throwing to? Or why are you throwing it there? Okay. Same thing. You go, I got to teach you that too. Ew. Pocket presence. Well, DJ does a decent job in the pocket, but he also scrambles a lot. So my big thing there would be, I got to teach you to stay where you are. As much as I don't care for Tom Brady, he does a lot of things really, really well. One of the things I would show DJ is this. You can run. You're a big, thick frame. You can run people over. That's great. But in certain situations, and show him Tom Brady and go, this is what I want you to do. Ball up and keep your feet moving. Keep your eyes downfield and your feet moving. Because I don't need you to run. I need you to throw it in certain situations. There are other times when you go, hey, you scrambled for 5 yards. Great. You scrambled for 8 yards. Great. You broke off some crazy run that was supposed to be a pass, wide open field, you gained 15 yards. Fantastic. But hey, when it's 3rd and 19, I need you to throw the ball. Or when it's late 4th quarter and we're down by 10, I need you to throw the ball. Breaking off and running is great, but I don't want to burn any of my timeouts, and the clock's a-ticking. So let's throw the ball. Another quarterback that I see that's done a really good job other than Pickett is Matt Corral. Again, ESPN likes to talk about him, so usually I don't like to talk about him. But from what I've seen on his tape for this year, last year a little rocky. This year he's doing much better. Good pocket presence, good arm angles, good throws, good vision downfield, good athleticism, being able to escape the pocket and run. And he's actually got some pretty good speed to him, so pretty happy with what I've seen on Matt Corral. I've heard rumblings that he might come out. Pickett doesn't have a choice. He's a fifth-year senior. He has to leave. It's my understanding. I don't know. The whole COVID year thing gets convoluted because they're like, he has another year. No, he doesn't. Yes, they do. No, they don't. And you're like, so let's say he has to leave just for the sake of argument. Pickett's going regardless. If I was a team, I'd be looking at Pickett saying, hey, that's a pretty good quarterback. Matt Corral. There are rumblings of him coming out. Fine. I would actually tell him to stay just because I'm watching Ole Miss get better and better and better. And you're going, you might be able to battle next year in your division. You know, you have the SEC Conference and you have the East and the West. And you go, you stay another year. We've gotten better each year. Imagine what you could do with one more year under your belt, which no one's ever complained about. But at the same time, you look at the quarterback class this year and you go, the quarterback class this year sucks. So that would be I could see the pros and the cons there. I'm moving on. Quarterback that I see that is middle of the road. For those of you who are saying, you know, I have bad. Rattler, who is, we'll call that not good, not bad, not middle of the road. It's kind of, eh. And then I gave you two really good ones. So now I'll give you a guy that is permanently in the middle of the road where you go, there are things you do that I go, holy cow. And then there are other things I do where I go, holy cow, what are you doing? And that is Notre Dame quarterback Jack Coan. What does Jack Coan do well? Quick release, good accuracy when it's short distance. Mid-range to short distance, we'll call he's good. Not great, not bad, not fine, good. A little bit better than, fine. I would put him in between that, actually. Good and fine. He's got moments where you go, yikes. And other moments where you go, hey. Mechanically, very sound. Good at dropping, setting, looking, throwing. Herein lies his problem. As he's setting, looking, throwing, the second there's any pressure, he can't move. Because he's a statue. He has zero athletic ability. Sorry, Jack, but you don't. Which, for a normal situation at Notre Dame, with an offensive line that normally has 4 or 5 seniors on it, fine. Don't need you to run. Stand in the pocket, look downfield, throw the ball. This year at Notre Dame, the offensive line is, I would call it garbage, but that would be an insult to garbage. Now we finally kind of got our poop in a group, but the beginning of the year, it was abysmal. That's even an insult to that word. There isn't a word in English that describes what the offensive line was. Like I said, garbage would be an insult to garbage. Abysmal doesn't begin to describe what was going on. He basically snapped the ball and there was nobody. He had free reign at hitting the QB. So that's his biggest problem. But he's sound mechanically. So if you were looking, I hate to use this terminology, for a guy that is, and do not take this the wrong way, Bill Belichick, Brady-ish, more of your old school. Peyton Manning's a good example. I don't want Peyton Manning running. I want him to drop back and to throw it. That style of quarterback, which is slowly dying off, but there are still a couple guys like that. Most of them have retired at this point, other than Tom Brady. That would be perfect. Or a solid backup. Looking at the Rams. He is a solid backup who you can lean on. Jack Cohn wouldn't be horrible. Backing up Stafford, because he and Stafford do a lot of the same things. Stafford's more athletic, but along the same lines mechanically with the arm. Okay, did that. We're doing that later. Okay. So, for those of you who didn't see it, there was an insult to football that happened last week? 2 weeks ago? It was last week. No, 2 weeks ago. Sorry, we're coming up on 2 weeks. Between Ole Miss and Tennessee, in which Tennessee threw things at the Ole Miss sideline. So much so they had to take the players off the field. Tennessee has been fined $250,000, and all I can say is a shame. Just shame on Tennessee. Shame on those fans, and a pox on your house. I mean, honestly. Can we act like adults? I know in the world of today that that's a real high mark to be aiming for, but could we try? Could we try to act like adults? I know in the world of people complaining about things that don't actually exist in schools, and people complaining about doing the bare minimum to keep other people alive is hard to ask for, but could we just maybe try to raise the bar? Oh, I don't know, a little bit. Because it lately seems like it's swamp level. So could we, I don't know, raise it just a smidge? Maybe we could try to be better people. I know, such a crazy idea. Once upon a time, we used to treat people about the way we would treat ourselves, which for me is pretty poor. But, because, I don't like me. But, really, we're down here. Could we try to get it somewhere around here? That'd be great. I think Tennessee should not be allowed to have fans at their games anymore for the rest of the year. Now, I know there's people who are Tennessee fans and people who are football fans that are saying, isn't that a little extreme? Yeah, but what if that was your child standing on the field, getting stuff thrown at him because he plays for the opposing team? No, they were mostly aiming for the coach. Okay. How do you think his parents feel? How do you think his family feels? His siblings. I don't know if he has any siblings. I'm just taking a guess. I'm going to assume Lane Kiffin is married. Because he's, 10 years older than me? 10, 12 years older than me? I can assume. How do you think they feel? He had certain things that were quite hard thrown at him, including bottles. No, they're made out of plastic. Yeah. But still, he could have been injured in some fashion. It's just, you get to the point where you go, really? And the university seemed to just not care because their security didn't stop anybody. So I think that Tennessee should be fined $250,000, fine, $250,000. I think that's really low, but okay. And you shouldn't be allowed to have fans at your games for the rest of the year. I mean, you're like, what, 1 in 8? You're not getting anywhere, so why do you care if your fans are there? They're just probably going to boo you the same they would the other team anyway. Okay. The next thing on my list is something I have to look at my phone for because I forgot to pull it up. I meant to look at my rundown before I started, and then I was like, oh crap, it's Thursday. For some reason, my brain told me it was Wednesday. Hang on. I'm pulling up the, for those of you wondering what I'm doing, I'm pulling up this rankings. The new ones, not the old ones. What I mean by that is as of Tuesday. That time I didn't click on recruiting. I've done that like 4 times. Scrolling through the thing because it goes recruiting ranking. Okay. So the current playoff rankings are number 1, Georgia, number 2, Alabama, number 3, Michigan State, number 4, Oregon, number 5, Ohio State, number 6, Cincinnati, number 7, Michigan, number 8, Oklahoma, number 9, Wake Forest, number 10, Notre Dame. I'm going to stop saying the numbers now. Keep track. We're on 11. Oklahoma State, Baylor, Auburn, A&M, BYU, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Kentucky, North Carolina State, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Fresno State, San Diego State, Pittsburgh. The top 25 is a little different. Theirs is Georgia, Cincinnati, Alabama, Oklahoma, Michigan State, Ohio State, Oregon, Notre Dame, Michigan, Wake Forest. That's the top 10. Not going to go any further because if you want to look that up, it's on ESPN.com. Click NCAAF, which is NCAA football. Scroll across the top banner to rankings, and it's right there. Now, this is not how I thought they would do this. My standings, totally different. Number 1, Georgia. No one's going to debate you on that. Georgia's number 1, not even close. Number 2 is Alabama. Well, that's because it's ESPN and the playoff committee, and they basically put anybody in the SEC, even if they lost every game, in the top 4. Alabama does not deserve to be at 2. I actually have Ohio State at 2. Why? They've gotten better each week and have progressed. There's a big drop-off between 1 and 2, but I have them at 2. 3, Oregon. Why do I have Oregon a little lower than them? Ohio State is about to play the meat of their schedule. That's why I have them ranked higher. And their schedule compared to Oregon, much better. Mostly because one plays in the Big Ten, the other plays in the Pac-12. Then after that, I have it Michigan State. I have it Alabama. I have Alabama at 4. My first 2 teams out are Michigan State and Cincinnati. Why? Same thing with Michigan State. I have them going against the meat of their schedule. And Cincinnati, they're undefeated, but they haven't, other than Notre Dame, who didn't play very well, they haven't played anybody. So if we're going down that gets me to 6. Or 5. 6, I have Oklahoma. Because although they're undefeated, I don't think they've been playing all that well, and they play in the Big 12. So I always have, there are 2 conferences that I always like to tell people, they're kind of the laughing stock of college football. Sorry. Pac-12 and Big 12. Why? In the Big 12, it's really no defense and a ton of scoring. So my thing with the Big 12 has always been, I like the Big 12. The teams are exciting. They're fun to watch. But their defenses are never that great. And they all put up 50 points. Cool. When you win a game 53-50, to me that means you played like crap. Because the defense should have stopped you at least, I don't know, once. More than once. Let's see, I'm at 7, right? I had 8 Notre Dame because other than the loss to Cincinnati, they're doing just fine. That isn't a homer thing. It's simply, I think that they probably are about 8 or 9. After that, I have Michigan because of the loss. If they hadn't have lost to Michigan State, I'd probably had them at 5. Then Wake Forest because they're undefeated, but again, you don't really play anybody. The ACC is the other joke of college football in that other than Clemson, there really aren't any super competitive teams. North Carolina, probably the number 2, and that's it. Realistically. So that's the current projection, numbers, for the college football playoff. Sorry. Now, I know a lot of people are going, what would that mean? That means if everything ended right now, the 4 teams playing in the playoff would be Georgia, Bama, Michigan State, Oregon. Oregon doesn't deserve to be there at all. I wouldn't put a Pac-12 team in, even if they extended it to conference champions. It's the Pac-12. You guys are a joke. You've been a joke for years. Sorry, I almost knocked it over, so I'm moving my bottle. So, schedule. There were games on Tuesday. Ball State played... I don't even know who that is. AKR, is that Akron? Maybe Akron. Anyway, Ball State won. Miami of Ohio got beat by the University of Ohio by 2 points. I actually got to go back and rewatch that game because I meant to watch it and forgot they were playing. Eastern Michigan beat Toledo 52-49. Central Michigan beat Western Michigan 42-30. And Kent beat... Wow. Kent State beat Northern Illinois 52-47. So, losses, but at least it sounds like they were competitive games. All right, tonight at 7:30, which is right now, Georgia State's playing University of Louisiana. Used to be Louisiana Lafayette, I believe is what they used to be called. Now they're the University of Louisiana. Tomorrow, which is the 5th, Virginia Tech plays Boston College, and Utah plays Stanford. That's at 7:30 and 10:30. Saturday, Army plays Air Force. Missouri plays Georgia. That is going to be embarrassing. Ohio State plays Nebraska. That's going to be embarrassing. Wake Forest plays North Carolina. Actually might be better than people think. Liberty plays Ole Miss. That is actually an underrated game simply because the quarterback for Liberty is supposed to be, I guess, fantastic. I know very little about him because I don't listen to other people's nonsense because remember a couple years ago when, what was the other guy? Who was supposed to be the greatest quarterback ever and now he's unemployed. Illinois plays Minnesota. Minnesota should punch Illinois in the mouth. I'm suspecting. Might be a better game than I think, but I doubt it. Pittsburgh plays Duke. Louisiana Tech plays UAB. Kansas State plays Kentucky. SMU plays Memphis. That actually could be a decent game. Georgia Tech plays Miami. Appalachian State plays Arkansas State. Northern Texas plays Southern Missouri. Temple plays Eastern Carolina. Louisiana Monroe. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm wrong. No, I'm not. I said Lafayette, right? Yeah, okay. So, sorry. The other one, Louisiana Monroe, plays Texas State. Cal plays Arizona. I mean, if Arizona plays like they did against Oregon, that game could be okay. MSU plays against Purdue. That should be a good game. Tulsa plays Cincinnati. Navy's at Notre Dame. Oklahoma State plays West Virginia. Baylor and TCU. That's always a good game. Also, Gary Patterson's no longer with Texas Christian University. He has parted ways mutually. So the report said mutually. So, might I just say, a big bow to Coach Patterson. Without Coach Gary Patterson, no one today would know or care who Texas Christian University is. So, if he's choosing to retire, which there are rumblings that he might be, I wish you all of luck. If you sign with another team, I wish them luck. Unless, of course, they play Notre Dame, then I'm sorry. I'm going to hate you for 1 week out of the year. Auburn plays A&M. That could be a good game. That's number 13 against number 14. Who? IDST. I don't even know who that is. Plays BYU. Honestly, I'm trying to think. I don't know who that is. Wisconsin plays Rutgers. Rice plays Charlotte. Sorry, I'm not used to seeing their logo. I'm like CLT, Charlotte. Mid-Tennessee State plays Western Kentucky University. I'm sorry. My brain read that wrong. Penn State plays Maryland. That actually could be an underrated game. URI? I don't even know who. URI. No idea. They're playing UMass. Southern Alabama plays Troy. Colorado State plays Wyoming. Mississippi State and Arkansas. Arkansas actually is pretty good this year. This could be a good game. North Carolina State against Florida State. I will be pulling for Florida State just because I love an underdog. Tulane's playing Central Florida. Utah State is playing New Mexico State. Marshall's playing Florida Atlantic. Coastal Carolina's playing Georgia Southern. LSU and Alabama. Although LSU has tanked since their playoff run and their national championship, that is usually, regardless of record, a good game. So I will check that out for a little bit. Tennessee plays Connecticut. Why do I keep saying that? Kentucky. Kentucky, not Connecticut. Sorry. Iowa plays Northwestern. Boise State plays Fresno. Old Dominion plays Florida International. Oregon State plays Colorado. That could be a good game. Again, one of those where you go, it's one of those weird out west games that normally no one cares about other than the people who live out there, that can at least be interesting if nothing else. UNLV plays New Mexico, not New Mexico State, the other one. That gets confusing. Ooh, Indiana plays Michigan. Underrated game. Florida, South Carolina, Clemson, Louisiana. Texas plays Iowa State. That could be a very good game. Houston and Southern Florida. San Jose State plays at Nevada. UTSA and UTEP. USC versus Arizona. And San Diego State plays in Hawaii. And that's all the games for this weekend. Now we transition from the wonderful world of college, which will always be superior, to the NFL, which is meh. Sorry, that's just how I feel. Don't mind the NFL, but college is better. Because the rivalries actually matter. You know, rivalries like Notre Dame, Southern Cal. Notre Dame, Michigan. Michigan State. Ohio State, Michigan. Those games are important. They matter. You care who wins. The Bears and the Lions, nobody cares. Because both teams usually stink. Sorry, Chicago fans, but typically we're both pretty low on the totem pole, which is actually the opposite of what it means. Sometimes I know things. So, in the pro world, I gotta try and find where I got this written down. Von Miller has been traded from the Denver Broncos to the Los Angeles Rams. That defense is going to be scary. Alright, I have it written down here, so I gotta talk about it. I mentioned Detroit and Chicago. Well, Detroit. What can we say about Detroit other than, for the love of God, please sell the franchise? They are a dumpster fire. Once again. I'd say the same thing about Cleveland a couple years ago. It's like, why don't you just get rid of the franchise? No one's going to know it's gone. Just, the Fords need to relinquish ownership of this team so that they might be able to spend some freaking money and bring somebody worth something to the team. Jared Goff in it. Please put in David Blau. I'm at that point right now. Put in David Blau. Why? Because that, at least he tries. Alright, injuries. I apologize if I'm a little behind on this. If something else has happened, I'm unaware of. Aaron Rodgers is out with COVID, which is when we found out that he lied about his vaccination status, so I'm pretty angry at him. Derrick Henry broke his foot. He's done for the year. They brought in the current running backs for Tennessee are going to be Jeremy McNichols from Boise State, who's actually pretty good. And they brought in Adrian Peterson off the street, so we'll see how that goes. Jameis Winston tore his ACL. I believe there was also MCL injury, if I remember correctly. I know he tore his ACL. He's done for the year. The backup is going to be either the new starter is either going to be Taysom Hill or Simeon. I'm going to say the same thing I said last Saturday when I saw him go down. I know a quarterback that's better than all three of those people. He used to wear number 12 for the blue and gold. His name is Ian Book. Sorry, I'm pointing at a signed picture of him. You guys can't see it. Put in Book. Just do it. You can have Taysom continue playing weird hybrid running back, quarterback, whatever. Fine. Put in Book to play quarterback. I beg you. To my knowledge, those are the injuries off the top of my head. So, I was mentioning that the Detroit's collapsing. I forgot about this part. When I say Detroit's collapsing, I'm not putting this on Dan Campbell. I think Dan Campbell's trying, but there's some things you just can't fix. And I like the staff that he hired. So, keep all of them. Get rid of the ownership. You've gone through, 30-something head coaches now? There needs to be an understanding that maybe they're not the problem. Although last year with Patricia, yeah, he was the problem because he's just god-awful. Pretty good defensive coordinator. I give him that. You go, defensively, you're all right, but head coach, no. Although I'm going to go ahead and tell you, Dan Campbell's going to have a heart attack with the amount of caffeine he ingests. Jesus. Sorry, I'm pulling up the schedule. There. In 40 minutes, we'll be watching the Jets and the Colts, which will be a better game than people think. I think the Colts will trample them, but it's one of those where you go, Mike White's playing. The Jets at least have a shot, because the Colts defense is good up front, good at linebacker, abysmal at the secondary. It's been that way for a couple years now. Anyway, so they brought up something on ESPN. I believe it was on Monday Night Football, actually. I'm trying to think when I saw it. Yeah, because they were talking to Alex Smith about the NFL redshirt rule, i.e. Mahomes, Fields, that kind of thing. So, drafting a guy and having him sit. They were talking about Trey Lance. They were talking about Trevor Lawrence. They're talking about Zach Wilson. Do you make them sit for a year, learn the system, learn how the NFL is faster? And my thought on that is, with certain teams, you can do that. Certainly. I don't think it should be the overall rule that teams do. It depends on the talent and the understanding of the kid that you got. If you get a guy like Trey Lance, who, sure, was very talented, very good quarterback, coming out of North Dakota State. I make sure I preface that part because if for some reason he begins to slouch in the NFL and you guys come back after me about how you said he was so good, well, I think he's very talented. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he will succeed because of the tools that he has. But I'm speaking specifically at this point because there's not a lot of film on him in the pros at college. Very talented. But you got to explain to people, he played a year in one game. So, which is, I frowned on when I heard he was coming out. I was like, I mean, I don't like that you're only here for a year. But, immensely talented. Okay. With him, having him sit a year behind Garoppolo, I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but Garoppolo is beginning to play scarily bad. So there needs to be a conversation of, okay, do we develop packages for Trey Lance more than just running the ball? And do we start to use him in-game and have Garoppolo go sit on the bench with a clipboard at parts of the game? What I'm, of course, referring to is more of the Justin Fields model, which is what I wanted the Bears to do with Justin Fields. You watched him in the preseason, saw him do stuff at practice, heard about stuff he did at practice. I say saw because there was some film. And you're going, he's making good throws, he's showing good mobility, he's showing good pocket presence, keeping his eyes downfield, finding people. You need to develop packages for him. And I don't mean like what they did at Georgia, which is, Fields is coming in, so it's going to be an option, probably. I don't know why I'd think that. Maybe because that's the only time they used him. But, you know, all right, we're going to put you in, and it's going to be RPO. It's going to be QB read. It's going to be short post route. Something like that, where you go, just giving you a real simple route and going, go out there and show what you got. Doing that with Trey Lance would be a smart idea. Of course, going into the beginning of the year with the Jets, you couldn't have done that with Zach Wilson because there was nobody else on the roster. Now they've got Joe Flacco. They traded for him. Getting Joe Flacco, I might tell Wilson to do that. Go, you know what? I'm going to have you sit behind Flacco for 2-3 weeks. And just listen to him. Just listen to what he has to say. Listen to him. Talk about the game. Look at tape with him. Look at plays with him. Talk through. Because the amount of knowledge someone like Joe Flacco has is absolutely invaluable to a young quarterback. Same thing even with Garoppolo, who's only been in the league for, was it coming up on year number 7 or 8? Same thing. Just sit behind him. Listen to him talk about what I know, what I've learned. You know, hey, when this team's doing this, this is what they really what they're thinking. Can't hurt. Now, with Fields, I specifically remember telling a lot of people this. I said, how long should they keep Andy Dalton as the starter? Because remember, that's what Matt Nagy was saying. He's going to be our starter. And I was like, the guy with 0 playoff wins is going to be our starter. Meh. That's a horrible idea. Don't do that. And they're like, well, how long should he be the starter for? I'm like, 6 weeks? 7 at the most? And I was like, that's with trickling in plays specifically for Justin Fields. Because when you watch Justin Fields at Ohio State, he ran pretty sophisticated offense at Ohio State. So you go, it's not that he doesn't have what's going on up here, it's that the speed's going to be different. Well, I can introduce you to that slowly until week 6 when I go, hey, guess what? We're taking the pads off, taking the gloves off, I should say, and I'm throwing you in there and going, here's this play. You better know what it is. You've been here for 6 weeks. And if you need help or you begin to struggle, I always have Andy Dalton. I say that because you go, that's a big downgrade. But it is Andy Dalton. Same thing with Fields. Like I said with Flacco. Sit behind Dalton and just listen to him talk. Listen to him talk you through stuff. Listen to him explain defenses. Because it's not that Andy Dalton isn't talented. It's that he played for the friggin' Bengals, who were pretty bad most of the time he was there. There was a 2-3 year span there where you were like, wow, you should be trying to battle for a Super Bowl. And they lost in the playoffs. Because it's Andy Dalton. And play calling. Let me preface that. play calling didn't help. You know, when you drop back 6 yards on every other play and try to just throw it to A.J. Green, that tends to not work. You might want to throw it to somebody else. Just a thought. Of course, like I said, also the team didn't really help you by drafting nobody. But there were a couple years there where you had Marvin Jones, A.J. Green, and Mohamed Sanu with Tyler Eifert at tight end, and you're going, you're telling me you guys can't make a playoff run with this many weapons? Gio Bernard in the backfield, the law firm behind him, a pretty good offensive line, a pretty good defense. Are you kidding me? I mean, I wasn't expecting you to win the Super Bowl with that roster. You needed a couple more weapons, and you needed someone to replace Tyler Eifert because Tyler Eifert was constantly hurt. But there needs to be a discussion there of you're not making a deep run into the playoffs with this roster? Who's coaching you? Yeah, just abysmal things. But the red shirt rule. My stance on it is this. If I get an uber-talented kid like a Trevor Lawrence, I don't necessarily want him to sit because he's shown me that he can play at a high level. Trevor Lawrence, I don't think is that high-level perfect guy. He reminds me a lot of A.J. McCarron. But it's one of those where you go, we're giving him the opportunity to fail. Why? He didn't really do that in college, and we didn't see what happens when that happens. So now we are seeing what happens, which is, didn't win again. Although they're doing better than Detroit. I gotta take my shots when I can. But yeah, someone like, well, especially with Zach Wilson. I think Zach Wilson has really good talent. He's got the arm. He's got athletic ability. I have questions about size, temperament, and whether or not he can keep healthy. But I think he's got what it takes to play. I think he just needs to sit behind somebody for a minute, like a Joe Flacco, who can explain things to him. I'd say the same thing even about Carson Wentz. Currently. So Phil Rivers was the quarterback last year. I'd call Phil Rivers and talk to him. Can't hurt. So, what was my stance on the red shirt rule? I don't like it. Because if a team drafts a kid that's supposed to be the superstar and next guy of your team, you want to see him play. But I also understand where, hey, you know what? Maybe he needed to sit for a year. My personal favorite middle of the road for this discussion is this. Pull a Justin Fields. Say, hey, we've got 17, it used to be 16, now it's 17 weeks, and go, so by week 7 or 8, I might throw you in the game, and I'm just looking for evaluation to see where we are. And hey, if you play stellar, you've earned next week. You don't play so stellar, hey, we're going to go back to the film room. We're going to go back to practice. We're going to sit down and we're going to talk about this and figure out why weren't things clicking. Because by that point, you should have evaluations at practice to go, hey, he's ready to go, or no, he needs to sit on the bench a little longer. I'm not saying that's what's going on with Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is uber talented and should be playing. I'm just saying there might be, I think of someone like a Paxton Lynch, where you go, he probably should have stewed on the bench a little longer. Didn't help that the most senior guy you had on your roster was Case Keenum. Yeah, probably not. Nothing against Case Keenum. I like Case Keenum. It's just one of those where you go, that Broncos system did not help him at all. In the case of someone like Zach, I say the same thing to you I say about with Spencer Rattler, which is, when he succeeds, well, he's got a decent running game behind him. Because then, as a quarterback, as opposed to going, all right, I'm dropping back, they know I'm going to drop back, I can do some play action, I can do some trick stuff, I can, things like that. Anyway, we're going to get to the schedule now, and then I'm going to talk for a minute. You both know me, I can't be restrained to that amount of time. But of what's going on in draft news, if you will. There we go, week 9. So we're going into week 9. I already said that today, in fact, the game is about to start. The Jets and the Colts. Sunday, the Atlanta plays New Orleans. That'll be a good game to watch. Denver plays Dallas. New England plays Carolina. Minnesota plays Baltimore. Cleveland plays Cincinnati. Buffalo plays Jacksonville. Houston plays Miami. Las Vegas plays the Giants. Chargers play Philadelphia. Green Bay plays Kansas City. I will be watching that game. There will be no Aaron Rodgers. There will be Jordan Love, and we're waiting to see if Davonte Adams will play or not. Arizona, San Francisco, and then the night game is Tennessee and the Rams, and then Monday night is Chicago and Pittsburgh. Pretty good game. All right. Now, let's talk draft for just a second. Obviously, it's way too early. Of the projections I've seen, I'm laughing, especially with the whole idea that the Lions will have the number 1 pick. That's not the shock part. It's who they think they're going to take. They're going to take Kayvon Thibodeau from Oregon. I said Kayvon Thibodeau for those of you who didn't catch that. I don't know if you've watched much tape on Kayvon Thibodeau. He's not that exciting. He's really good. Don't get me wrong. Somebody will be pleased to have him. But a couple things. One, he doesn't have the same physical traits as some of the other guys available. Looking at you, Aiden Hutchinson, as much as I don't like Michigan. Here's the big one that's my big, why would you do that? You have bigger needs, and you have 4 people who could play at defensive end right now. 2 of them are related, which are the 2 people I would start. One guy's named Romeo Okwara. He's actually out for the year right now, so you can't start him yet. And the other guy's Julian Okwara. Both of them are uber talented. You might want to, I don't know, put one on one side and one on the other and tell them, meet me at the quarterback. I had to think real hard about that, by the way. Michael Brockers, him at defensive end. I don't know why someone thought that was a good idea. In the Ram system, it worked. Why? Because he had this guy in the middle that I don't think anyone's ever heard of in the NFL. It's called Aaron Donald. He's only been Defensive Player of the Year 2 or 3 times. So, pretty much unblockable. So that's why putting him at defensive end kind of worked. In this system, it's not. You might want to roll him, back to defensive tackle where he was. I had to think about this for a whole, 1 second? The other defensive tackle. Yeah. McNeil, done a couple of things there, okay. Mostly rookies on the other side of the ball, other than we've got the guy from Delaware, right? Yes? No? I think that's where he's from. He's fine. He's a bull rush guy. Fine. In the system that I'm talking about, which is 4-3, something that apparently people in the NFL have just abandoned, which I don't know why, because it works. You put 2 really good defensive ends. What's going on here really doesn't matter. As long as they can eat blocks, you're good. Anzalone, I would tell him to pack his nonsense and go back to wherever swamp deal he came from, because he's awful. Middle linebacker is abysmal. Outside linebacker is not much better. I don't know who you'd start there. I think at the moment, whoever you got. Call it good. Derek Barnes, I need to see better coverage skills from him. Otherwise, I would consider moving him back to defensive end. Corners are awful for Detroit. There's another idea you could draft. I know, there's only 3 that I can think of off the top of my head that are really good corners that are going to be available. But yeah, that's my breakdown of just that, if that is the first pick. He, of course, is most likely going to go. I don't know why he wouldn't. I've talked about the quarterback room, which is going to be awful. Sam Howell might go. Why do I say might? I don't know if he's going to or not. He has another year of eligibility. If I was him, I'd stay. Offensive line-wise, I need to go back and study some people, but from what I've seen, it looks like it's probably going to be Evan Neal as the top pick. I'm not necessarily disappointed with that idea. Wouldn't mind seeing, somebody who needs offensive line taking him. Wouldn't mind seeing Detroit, put the guy you drafted 5th overall or 8th overall or wherever they were at left tackle, since, it's why you drafted him. I had to think real hard about that one, too. And put, I don't know, the guy that was there before at right tackle, and if he doesn't like it, tell him he can pack his crap. Just, yeah. Stuff like this makes me bang my head against the wall. I know the trade deadline already passed, so we can't do much about it. It's one where you go, well, guess what? You can either play it, or you can sit in the locker room. Those are your choices. Yeah. That does it for this episode. I know I rambled for a while. I will try to do this more regularly. I'm sorry that I haven't. Like I said, I was dealing with some serious health problems, which are, more important. Taking care of this lovely foreign thing that is in my body that is keeping me alive, a little more important. If you guys want updates on how all that works, just, ask. That'll do it. Hopefully, whoever your college team is wins. Unless, of course, they're Navy, then I hope they get beat by 100 points. Or if it's Alabama. Watching them lose is always hilarious. Whoever your NFL team is, hopefully they play well. Going to be pulling for Green Bay, just because regionally, it's one of the few teams that actually performs decently and doesn't suck. But other than that, you guys know my stance on the NFL. I don't have a team. I just like watching it. I like the Seahawks because I like Russell Wilson, but other than that, that's pretty much it. That does it. I'll see you guys hopefully next Thursday. I will be giving you my predictions on the NFL games on Saturday. Probably after the Notre Dame game. All right. Bye.